Hi, I am Marian Mackel. I am the Vice President of the Association. I'm presiding in lieu of our President, who is not with us today, which leads us to our first motion, which is to excuse the absence of Patty Morgan, Bill Ansley, Don Roselle, and Kevin Crouch. We do have a quorum, so we will continue. I want to recognize our guests that are here. Greg Whitback is here to just observe.
Just say you guys do a great job. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Keep coming.
And then,
The check is in the mail.
Dr. Judy Hildebrand is here to speak to us. And if Dr. Hildebrand, if you will just come up or stand where you are. How the process works is 5 minutes to speak with us, and we will consider your comments and get back to you at a later date.
I'm here to request that I be taken off the do not respond security list. I live across the street from someone who committed a violent act against the Chatham County bulk pickup workers. And after he was released on bail, shortly after he was released home on bail, this was a couple of years ago, there was a loud knocking on our door, seriously loud knocking after midnight. So I called security and I called 911. Security called me back and said they were instructed not to come to my house because of the person who lived across the street being potentially very violent. And that person is, I believe, moved. So I would like to have that restriction taken away so that if I call security, they will come and I don't have to wait for the Chatham County Police to come.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our next order of business is to approve the consent agenda and the minutes and the reports that are attached thereto. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion passes. The next thing we will discuss is we're gonna hear from Mark Lasser. Mark, you moved on me here. Mark is the new president of the Landings Golf and Athletic Club, and he's going to provide his report to us.
Great, thank you so much.
Thanks for being here.
Luckily, we aren't all snowed in still, so that's probably the biggest news for the club. People ask me, how's your first month going? I say, well, we're closed, most of the time. But in all seriousness, club report, membership scorecard. We ended 2024 with 3,441 members. Exceeded our budgeted plan by 64. So I think this is the largest membership we've had, largest golf membership we've had. 1,739 golfers. Notable details, golf additions net exceeded our budget by 29. So what that means for the club financially, moving into the financial results, is that our initiation fees were much higher than we had budgeted and expected. Plus, we had raised the initiation fee, actual unit prices as well. So financially, a good thing for the club, and that's important money, for us to do some of our capital projects. So it's a good source of funds. So we're very happy with that. Usually a good year, I'd say. Overall, these are unaudited numbers, but for 2024, we anticipate being slightly ahead of our plan or our budget, and that includes an unbudgeted loss roughly of $400,000 for hurricane-related items. Different things got broken, need to be repaired. So 2025. We're starting the year with a very large cash balance, but don't get too excited about that. We've sort of already allocated that money to day-to-day, running of the club, I'll talk about our goals for 2025, but we have a good cash position going into the year. part of the reason for the large balance is we deferred some capital spending. The pickleball Franklin Creek area has been delayed for good reasons. So we're starting the year in a good financial position. I'll stop there and see if anyone has any questions on the financials 2024. But we get an audit done, as you know, and we'll report out to the club at our annual general meeting. For 2025, real quick, we're focusing on, I look at it as 5 strategic areas. Member experience, that's where we want to really focus. We are taking a very close look at what is our capacity and what is our utilization across our amenities. So management is looking at that for us. So when you hear that we're at all-time high for golf, people go, well, gee, are the golf courses too crowded, things like that. So we need to make sure we're really managing everything from a business standpoint, and that's what we're looking at. We're piloting a real-time dining experience app. I don't recall which restaurant. I think it's at the Marshwood restaurants, where you will be able to, as you walk out after your meal, you'll be able to respond in real time. How did it go? And that's really important. And that's in response really to our younger members wanting that. And then the other member experience aspect we're focused on is our rules compliance. So a lot of members have said, look, we have rules for the golf course, we have rules for the other amenities, we have dress code rules, all that, but we'd like to see them complied with more. Golf cart driving and all that sort of thing. So we're working on that. Fix what we have is the other focus. Basic clubhouse maintenance, carpeting, furniture, things like that. You're going to see that we're bringing those up to standard. And we do have 2 large capital projects, which I think most people know about. The Oak Ridge Golf Course renovation and the Franklin Creek campus. And when we look at the dollars involved there, a large percentage of it is really fixing what we have. There's some amenity improvement, but a lot of it's just we need to do, for instance, we need to do drainage drainage at Oak Ridge, a runoff. Franklin Creek campus, we need to repair pickleball courts. They're downright, chipping away some of the courts. So large percentage of that falls into the bucket of fix what we have. And then number 3, these are in no particular order, but number 3 is why I'm here today, really, TLA cooperation. That's a major focus for the community. Okay, so we have our Landings Community Leadership Council that's really formalizing something we've been trying to do for a while, and so I think that's a great thing. We all live here. We want everyone to succeed, every aspect of our community, and that's what we're focused on. And so more to come on that. For me, personally, I want the club to improve its communications from the board level, and that's what we're working on, and improve our club governance. And I'll give you a couple of examples of how we're going to do that. We're having 4 town halls. I hope everyone attends. February 12th is our first one, March 27th, July 23rd, November 19th. So they're in the calendar so folks can adjust their own schedules. We're going to send out random invites to members to meet with board members, and that way we hope to capture a broad range of membership, social, house, athletic, etc., and then just sit and talk. No agenda other than what do you think of our club, what are you seeing, what would you like to see about it. And that's a best practice recommended by the industry. So it's not any credit to the club board for coming up with the idea, we just want to implement it. We've adopted a new information management technology tool for our board and for all of our committees, where all the work we do, like here's the meeting today, all this is electronically stored so that future board members and future committee members can see what has been done in the past to avoid the rework, mainly to save staff time is really what it's going to do, I think. And then we're going to provide more concise executive summaries to the membership rather than a very large PowerPoint that was sent out. That's still available. All those details will still be available, but we're going to have executive summaries. That's what membership has asked for. Quickly see what are we working on, how's it going. And the last focus area is our employees. focus on our employees. We have almost 600 employees at a peak of operations for the club. And so we want to keep our club as an employer of choice in Savannah. Savannah marketplace is changing. We want to make sure we're up to speed, give them a good, safe work environment, the best benefits we can afford, all those sort of things to keep our club moving forward. That's my update.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Any other questions for Mark? Great, thank you. Welcome to
Thank
stay
you.
with us.
Okay, I'll stay there.
Okay, the next item is new business, and we're gonna go to Carl with staff reports and action items.
Yes, a couple to talk about. First is, speaking of working with the club, we are having our kickoff meeting tomorrow for our Community Pass Task Force. And so not only are we going to be doing some targeted community path traffic studies like we did with our streets last year, but we also want to look at conflicts between golf carts and cyclists and pedestrians and other people on there. So we have members of our security committee, public works committee, communications committee, staff, and a couple of residents who volunteered for it. And we're going to have some participation from the club, including the governor who's overseeing the communication effort. So we can really be in lockstep on all of this kind of stuff. So we're looking at rules, policies, resident education, signage, enforcement action. So besides deer, which we obviously get complaints about, community path interactions is the other issue that we get the most of. So we're gonna do a year-long campaign trying to work through that, see where we might need to make engineering adjustments, behavioral adjustments, line of sight issues. I know we have some of those where some of our paths cross and that kind of thing. So we're excited to work together with the community and with the club on that. The other one is we have a website task force that we have members of the communications committee at this point. Eventually we'll expand it out a little bit more, but we're getting feedback from them through the end of this month, and we'll have a kickoff meeting with them as well to start looking at the website. We're going to completely redo it. We're going to tie it into a new database that we have. We want to make it more functional, usable, searchable. Our last big update was 2016, so that's an eternity in the tech world. So we're really looking forward to that as well. So starting to make some progress on those as we're moving forward. So those are the two main things I wanted to give an update on. Oh, I know I had one more. Live Oak Fiber. We are set to switch over to that from our Comcast dark fiber on February 9th. I know they're still working with the club on the club facilities. Ours just haven't finished yet either, so we're still working through that, but we're getting closer on that. And then that'll give us, we won't have to be paying the monthly lease fees to Comcast going forward. We'll have Live Oak Fiber. And we'll also look at some backup internet options like we talked about, potentially Comcast, potentially Starlink. So if cables get cut. So we're still working through that issues with our various vendors as we do that. That's also when we're going to bring online, hopefully, our 8 Wi-Fi access nodes on the south end of the island to help with Wi-Fi calling in areas that have lower cellular connectivity. So we have a resident who's very excited to test that out. So I said, we're almost there, we're getting close. So we'll see how that goes, but some good technology improvements coming up right now. So any questions or comments? Yes.
Who is chairing these two task forces?
So the Pat Breslin is chairing the Community Pass Task Force. We're not doing a chair on the website because there's a lot of back of the house work that's going on simultaneously. So Lynn and I are the key staff members of that, and we'll work together with the group. And that's more of a consensus that staff's going to lead that one. And then come back and forth on what do you like or not like, because we're already working with our vendors on here's the search tool we're going to use, here's the emailing tool we're going to use. So there's some boundaries already in there on that for us. Yep. Okay, thank you. Jessica with Hey, it's not PowerPoint Live.
Well, that's a step in the right direction today. I'm going to take take a few extra minutes of your time this afternoon as we talk through the financial report. These are the numbers as of the end of 2024. These are unaudited, however, I don't expect that there will be many adjustments. So they should look very familiar after our audit is complete and we report out on that. At the end of December, our total cash balance, we ended at cash and investments, we ended at 13.1 million. That is 592,000 more than where we were at the end of December of 2023. We had total interest earnings in our capital reserve and operating account of 625,000 for the year of 2024. Total operating revenue, we ended 552,000 more than our budget, and also 328,000 more than where we were at the end of December of 2023. Total operating expenses before depreciation were 277,000 more than our budget and 1.1 million more than December of 2023. Comparatively speaking, 24 to 23, we saw increases in salaries. Obviously, our contingency expenses with the impacts of Hurricane Helene, insurance cost, legal cost, our bad debt expense, and IT costs. Our net expense over revenue at the end of 2024 was 430,000, 274,000 better than our budget. Many of these revenue drivers and the reasons behind that we've talked through most of this year, and they still continue to trend all the way through to December. Our architectural fees, vehicle registration, fuel sales, mainly gasoline, and then the other categories, other accounts in the accounts within the other category. Comcast revenue, our EFT fees, finance charges, violation fees mainly due to speeding fines, resale disclosure, all performed better than our budget and also last year as well. On the expense side, our taxes performed better than budget, mainly due to a lesser of a tax liability in 2024. Mailbox and signs, a majority of that work was performed in-house versus contracted. Special projects better than budget, mainly due to less exploration costs for the Landings Harbor Picnic Pavilion, and also the timing of when our strategic plan costs were incurred, and that will continue through 2025. Operating contingency, we incurred 416,000 worth of damage costs from Hurricane Helene, so that was more than our budget and also slightly higher than our year-end estimate of 380,000. IT support and staffing also performed more than budget and also more than 2023. This is a graph, and in the blue column, that is our budget. The green column is our year-end estimate, and the gray column is our actuals. Assessment revenue performed evenly across our budget, year-end estimate, and where we actually came in. On our non-assessment revenue, it was 552,000 better than our budget and 48,000 better than our year-end estimate projected. Operating expenses performed 277,000 more than our budget and 42,000 more than our year-end estimate, which brought us to a $6,000 better than year-end estimate on our actuals than what our year-end estimate projected for 2024. Our marinas also had a positive year, and they ended 74,000 better than our budget and $5,000 better than our year-end estimate. If you look closely, that is my prized possession for the week of Thanksgiving. Thank you very much to the Telecom Creek. 2024 capital reserves revenue, our assessment revenue performed as it was budgeted and as we estimated for year end. Interest revenue on the capital reserve side, we performed 80,000 better than our year end estimate. And we still have a balance from the Internal Revenue Service from 2021 for the employee retention credit that still is unpaid. Our total revenue for 2024 equaled 16.8 million. 6 million of that came from our non-assessment revenue. 10.8 million came from assessment revenue. The top three non-assessment performers were boat storage at 1.8 million, vehicle registration at 1.2 million, and our interest earnings of 625,000. This graph shows our non-assessment revenue trend from 2020 to 2024. You can see in 2020 that balance for all of our non-assessment revenue was 3.7 million, and we ended 2024 at 6.042. That's an increase in percentage of our non-assessment revenue of 4% since 2020 to 2024. Total capital reserve expenditures of the budget of 2024 are 4.9 million. We spent 3.696. 45% were spent on roads, 27% on storm drains, 9% on bridges, structures, and equipment, 10% on marinas, 7% on community paths, and 10% on association capital. We're going to look at the capital reserves through a couple different lenses. Obviously, what we just saw was what our 2024 budget was. These are the projects that were completed throughout 2024, and some of these began in 2023 and carried forward. There are many items that were completed. 2 of these which were unplanned, which we had failures in 2 HVAC units before the budget actually projected those to be replaced. So there was no budget in 2024, but those were in a later year. We also had 6 portable radios that failed earlier than we anticipated. The largest of our expenses in roads. We ended the year with our completed capital reserve projects of a total budget. We came in at 4.4 in actual cost, which is 345,000 better than the budget for those that we completed throughout 2024. Our total cash outlay for capital reserves includes construction work in progress and also those that we completed. We estimated that our total cash outlay would be 4.7 million, and we actually spent 4.598 with that construction work in progress balance. This is a look at our capital reserve expenses, budget versus our year-end estimate and actuals. Association capital, we ended the year a little bit higher than our year-end estimate. The ABDI server replacement costs are less than what we estimated. The bridges, structures, and equipment, this is mainly due to some carry forward. The Marsh Tower observation is carried forward to 25. The nature trail backflow preventers, we couldn't get the supplies to complete that in 24. So that work is now being completed in 25, and you should have seen updates in the weekly report that that's currently happening. The RV yard fence work carried forward to 25. Our storm drains performed higher than our year-end estimate just due to a larger scope of work. The marinas, the bulkhead fence carried forward to 25, and on our unbudgeted projects were the 6 portable radios that we hadn't planned that failed earlier. Of the capital assets completed, as I mentioned, we have 116,000 sitting on the balance sheet, on the capital reserve balance sheet. 3.089 of that was expensed, and we capitalized 1.466 of those assets. We ended 2024 with a members' equity balance of 13.7 million, which is an increase of 1.2 million from the beginning of this year, mainly due to our property, plant, and equipment that we capitalized that's on the operating balance sheet, with the cash outlay coming from our capital reserve fund. This is our balance sheet as of 12/31, assets and liabilities and equity. Assets equal 24.9 million, our cash and investments 13.3, property, plant, and equipment 8.7, and our other assets are accounts receivable, inventory, prepaid expenses, and our investment in our subsidiary. Our liabilities and equity 24.997. Deferred revenue is going to increase by 1 million once we have our post-audit complete, because of the equity for that account will move into the deferred revenue column. Our other liabilities are accounts payable, escrow balances, accrued payroll, and taxes, and the association has no long-term liabilities as we are debt-free. Our equity is our assets minus our liability. Accounts receivable aging, as of today, we have 20 accounts with a past due balance on our non-assessment side of the house with our 60 days past due. We do have 11 assessment accounts that have a full or partial balance. Those that needed to be turned over to collections have been turned over to collection. We have 2 that are in probate, and we also have 1 account that was pending sale. It should have closed on January 17th. That we will be receiving the funds from the closing attorney as soon as that happens. An update, our 2024 annual audit is winding down. We began field work on site January 13th and 14th. We have our external audit committee meeting, or our audit committee meeting with our external auditors on February 11th. The 2025 assessment statements have been sent to our printers and should be mailed out no later than Friday of this week. So you will see those in your mailbox shortly. The amount due this year for 2025 is $2,518, and that's due by March 1st. I do want to note you will see an Atlanta, Georgia address on that. That is to our secure lockbox, but comes directly to us when you mail that payment directly to them. If you would like to enroll in the monthly or quarterly payment schedule, please do so by February 21st. There is an interest rate that is included in that amount at 6.5%, and that's closely aligned with the prom interest rate, which as of today is 7.5%. Any questions on the financial data or any other assessment related?
We want to encourage people to drop their payments off here.
I would encourage anyone that it would be safer to drop your payment here. We saw tremendous delays last year with the USPS and how long it was taking to get those to any mailable address, not just our lockbox in Atlanta. So if you would like to be conservative and know that it's in the hands and will process quickly, then we will welcome your payment, cash or check, in the association building.
We just got back, we mailed a notification of a cancellation of service that we needed to do certified mail with return receipt. Mailed that December 5th, we just got it back today, the notification of the receipt.
So it doesn't sound like it's sped up since we last went. Thank you.
All right, Aaron, community developments.
Jessica, I do have one question.
Okay.
Or probably better for Sean, are we going to have any for the 2025 expenditures as a result of the snowstorm that we weren't expecting?
We did have some costs related to housing the security staff and feeding those employees that stayed on site for 2 or 3 days. I don't know of any repairs. Sean may be able to speak to that at this time. I haven't heard of any repairs at the marinas or related to public works.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of damage associated with some of the road. Like West Cross is a great example where the frosting and freeze thaw caused some additional potholing, but that was actually already captured within our 2025 roads budget. So most of that's going to be captured either in our existing capital or our operational budgets.
Okay, thank you.
I heard we have plenty of cones out around that pothole now.
And I don't need any more social media posts about no one saw it coming. So.
Aaron.
Alright, well, I'm happy to be here to present to you the community development activity for December 2024. Starting off with our number of permits issued month by month. We had 84 permits issued versus 82 this time last year. Because this is the year-end close, we wanted to take a look at the impact over the year-over-year as well. And so what we saw is that we had a 13.5% increase in permitting activity just overall throughout the year of 2024. Also, we took a look at the ARC applications month by month. We had a pretty big decline this year. We had 21 applications versus the 51 that we had this time last year. Overall, the decline in ARC applications was just a little bit over 10%, which is about 25 applications throughout the year. So that did free up a little bit of time for the ARC to finish up those ARC guideline revisions. So we'll see how it goes next year. Already having some heavy agendas in January. When we come to take a look at our summary of construction activity, we had 2 new homes that completed in December, making that 27 new homes for the year of 2024. We had no new home starts, so we still have 16 active construction sites right now. We had 4 major improvement starts, 57 minor improvements, and that is that category where we're seeing the majority of the increase in permitting activity. 11 dumpsters, pods, and porta-johns, and 10 permit extensions. And so we wanted to take a look at trends. So dumpsters, pods, and porta-johns. Of the 296 requests in 2024, we took a closer look at that because we have a category that shows what the activity was for. And of them, 129, or roughly 44% of them, were for interior renovations, with the majority of those being kitchen and bath and renovations. So what that tells us is that we're seeing significant investments in things that are gonna continue to hold the value in the properties, because kitchens and baths are one of those things that the renovations tend to bolster the price of the properties. So we took a look at this versus the previous 3 years, and we saw that it was roughly the same amount, same percentage of those permits. So roughly 45% of the dumpster permits are associated with interior renovations, and the majority of those being kitchens and baths. So we should be seeing like a good reflection of the investment in the community in the homes that are for sale. When we took a look at the number of private property maintenance violations, we had 5 versus 19 the same time last year. The annual impact year over year was 1.8% increase, so those numbers are pretty static. We've found over the last 3 years that the numbers have hovered very close to one another. We're also seeing that with our courtesy notices. We had a slight decline in the month of December, 2 versus 14, but again, that impact over the year was about 5.4% decrease. So it's really very close year over year in the number of violations that we're finding, and then also the number of courtesy notices. As well, I should say that the number of properties that are brought back into compliance is almost the same year over year as well. So the carryover number in 2023 was 89 properties, this year was 80, so extremely close. When we look at the summary of inspection activity, we had 192 site inspections or ARC inspections. We had 261 private property maintenance inspections with 44 follow-ups on active cases, and 20 properties in violation were resolved, 83% of those without formal written notice. In terms of the summary of violations observed, it was split 36% landscape and 36% home maintenance. The other remaining percentage was split between ARC related, which you see in yellow, and driveways, which made up 7%, which you see in the gray. Any questions?
All right, thank you. Tim with security report. Let's just share the window, Tim. Hey, go to the window. There you go.
All right, Security Department overview for December 2024. December crime stats, as you can see for this, just in December, went down from 7 to 3 for Part 1 crimes, 7 to 3 for burglaries and thefts. Vandalism increased by 1, from 0 to 1, and trespass 1 to 0. And again, year-to-date crimes, not so lucky, as we witnessed back in May, June, July, had a significant increase in Part 1 crimes. So overall, an increase for the year from 29 to 37. Burglaries and thefts, 42 to 52. Vandalism, 7 to 10, and trespass, 6 to 9. Depending on who you talk to with Chatham County Police Department, they believe maybe one of the suspects could be involved anywhere from 7 to 9 of those burglaries and thefts. So the Part 1 crimes that happened in December, 2 burglaries and 1 theft. A package had an iPhone in it that was removed. All open, ongoing, active investigations. The Guardian Pro Stats, it remained on Bartram Road throughout the second half of December. You can see the bins there, 49 vehicles clocked at between 41 and 46, 15 vehicles clocked at 47 to 51, 1 at 52 to 56, and then you jump to 1 at 62 to 66. Golf cart statistics, complaints were flat compared to last year. Overall increase from 1 to 4 in the citations issued, and unlicensed driver remained flat at 1. No warnings were given in December 2024 compared to 63 back in 2023. However, our citations increased from 10 to 17, and the total amount of fines for December increased from 595 to 1,200. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank our staff for staying over and doing such an excellent job. I had a funeral to attend in Illinois that actually kicked off on the day that it happened. Captain Bundy took the reins, and I was hesitant to go or not. He said, "Boss, we got it. Go up there and take care of your family and your business, and we'll hand it on this end." Captain Bundy, Sergeant Thone, Corporal Harris, and Officer Kennedy all stayed on property from Wednesday, and they didn't leave until Friday afternoon. So if you see them, thank them. There were other officers that stayed over as well. So I can't speak highly enough of them, and without them, my job would be impossible. Any questions?
We should thank the Landings Company for
Yes, and the Landis Company
Hit stop sharing up top, please.
provided the housing. So, yes, very good point.
All right, Sean, if you could talk about the next two items, please.
Mayor, we'll turn to page 34 in your packet. You'll see a staff report recommending a continuation of a 3-year agreement with Bennett Paving for the 2025 roads program. We've been very lucky to be able to lock in a low unit price of $20.50 per square yard to mill and pave our roadways. You'll see this year's program is a little bit higher than last year's as far as cost, and we're also trying to really capitalize on that locked-in unit price. This year's program is going to include the mill and replacement of 12 different secondary and tertiary roads throughout the community, and we'll also be doing, I don't want to say patchy, but large sections of Landings Way North, Landings Way South, Bartram, some of our primary roads. We're going to do the areas that are failing versus kind of looking at doing a whole mill and replace of those, as they are major roadways. And they are our highest traffic areas. Along with this project, we'll also be doing some of the road striping. Before we start the project, we go through the curb and gutters and address all the drainage issues. A lot of the roads that are going to be addressed too, we'll go through and look at the storm drains to make sure that we're proactively not going to be coming in, repaving a road, and then have a failure on top of. So the crews are in that work process right now for the 2025 roads project. We're shooting to really begin in March. We're still working through communications with club, company, trying to figure out all the events that are on the island. That's always one of the biggest challenges. And so we'll be looking to kind of finalize this process by getting board approval tonight for the 2025 road repair and replacement project at the amount of $1.896,380.
So we need a motion to approve this project and the amount Sean just mentioned, $1,896,380. And so can I get a motion?
so moved.
Second. Any
Okay.
discussion?
I will add that this did go through both Public Works and the Finance Committee, who both recommended approval to the board.
And also note that they review what roads they're gonna do with an outside engineering firm, and look at other conditions to decide which roads are going to be done, so. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, Sean. Motion passes.
And what else do you need, Sean?
One other item. It's early in the year.
One more thing.
They were a month later than last year. I didn't ask in December this year, or this past year, so we're
He's
catching
a
up.
scum sucker.
Yeah, so this is another unique piece of equipment, and it's a piece of equipment that we actually really identified as needing during Hurricane or Tropical Storm Debbie, when we received 10 to 11 inches of rain. One of the challenges we had is with that massive amount of water is with our storm drain systems. A lot of the catch basins that are directly off the roadways were backing up. We had in the Public Works Committee always had creatively called it the scum sucker, which is a back truck that actually comes in and is able to pull all that material out. It works in conjunction with our jetter trailer that actually pulls all the material from the pipes back into the boxes, and then you can remove all that material to keep flow and drainage. A few years ago, we changed philosophies going from a back truck system to a trailerable unit, and then modified our Revo sweepers, which are vacuum sweepers, to clean out the boxes. However, during times of a heavy storm when everything's saturated, they weren't capable as this type of equipment to be able to address a lot of those drainage issues. So we resulted in and with Debbie, we were literally physically digging out a lot of those basins to keep that water flowing. We did rent and then went out and tested multiple different pieces of equipment. We found that Southern Vac offered a 600 diesel hydro vac trailer that worked the best. One of the great things about this technology is it's light, it's movable, and it with the old vacuum truck system, we could only be on roadways. This actually has the ability to be able to get in kind of the back of house where we do have a lot of other catch basins, like on golf courses, behind homes, in some of those areas where we could not take an international truck like we had before. So this gives us a lot more flexibility to be able to work in and around the system, and also reducing on the damage to the common properties or club properties as we're going through these areas. So we're looking for approval to purchase a 600D vacuum trailer with some of the attachments from Southern Vac for a total project cost of $106,009.
So a motion to approve the purchase of this vacuum trailer.
Second,
Discussion?
you did have you had another bid.
Yes. Yes, we did. Ditch Witch Company also bid, and they're very comparable in price, but Southern Vac was a little bit cheaper.
And Public Works approved,
Yes.
and as did Finance yesterday, and we had board discussion last week. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, we got John on the line.
Yes.
Who was that?
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank
Thank you.
you, Sean.
All right, the final item we have in this section is the board goals. That's attachment A from your packet. As a reminder on this one, we're still working through strategic plan items, so there may be some adjustments on here, but we wanted to have a stake in the ground on some timing and what the board focus areas are, some finance, public works, security, communication goals. So we're looking for board approval so that we can begin working on these or continue working on these. And we're realizing we'll adjust mid-year as needed.
Motion to approve the 2025 board goals.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on to board committee and special reports. Rosemary, we're gonna start with you in finance.
The only thing I just wanted to mention to the board is that we did finalize a draft of the risk management policy. It will go to the governance committee for review and ultimately will come to the board. It is right now in draft. It took longer than we wanted it to, but it was a lot of work to put it all together. The one thing that is very clearly missing in it is Public Works. We worked with all the department heads, and I thank them all because they did a lot of work to pull all this together and make it a very comprehensive policy. And Kevin did the work to write it up as a policy for us. We wanted a legal opinion. But Public Works has this document, and if you haven't read it, it's very comprehensive, and it really tells you everything. And I know Sean lives and dies by this. When this
We have to revise it though. We don't have a blizzard in our. We've had some learnings.
But anyway,
Counts as anything over 2 inches.
that's the only thing I know. It had been sort of hanging out there, and we were waiting to get it finished. But it is now ready to go to the governance committee.
Thank you. Okay, governance committee, which is me. We have worked through our general manager transition plan and approved that, and that will now be part of, I think, the board policy manual. I think we agreed on that. We also looked at the appeals committee charter. We did some review there, but I think we're going back and asking for some changes there. And we discussed our 2025 focus areas. And we have a lot to keep us entertained during the course of the year. We also looked at a draft of the legal services agreement for 2025 for our services that we received from Tom's firm, and and that was approved by the governance committee. So I do need a motion, however, from the board to approve that legal services agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Now I'm gonna turn it over to Rob,
Sure.
since I learned that he did have his first strategic audit committee.
Yes, we did meet January 15th. We're going to continue with some of the focus areas from last year. We set an overall goal of reducing our pumpable water by 2% for the year. We closed 2024 with a 4% reduction, while still growing the number of lots, which is pretty impressive. So we're going to continue down that road and look for just a 2% and continue growth by adding new lots. The areas there that we're focusing on are going to be, again, water conservation and promoting new irrigation technology through smart irrigation. And we're taking on a second strategic challenge of trying to measure the impact of sea level rise on the island. Through Wetlands Watch, which is an independent nonprofit up in Virginia, they've agreed to support us through training and an app where we can engage all residents facing the water on the shoreline to participate in capturing water inundation during high tides or weather events. If we do that long term and we get enough support from residents who get engaged, we'll create our own database that will be predictive in understanding how will the island respond with different weather events. So we're excited about that. Our second meeting will be March 19th.
Thank you.
So, one suggestion, Rob, I did it yesterday at the finance committee when I was,
Yep.
meeting with Sam Colora, who represents us for the club. He didn't know about Oratio. And so I was extolling the virtues of it because it is wonderful. And I suggested that we take a sample to each of the committee meetings so people actually see it. I know we've written about it, but that doesn't necessarily mean people have read that.
No, it takes an enormous amount of continuous communication to deliver the message.
Mine did an ice skip last week, so you
Yes,
had
yes,
the water
yep.
skill before the
Yep.
ice skip.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And it tells you.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Any comments or questions from the directors? Okay. President's report, which again I will do in lieu of Patty. I just wanted to mention two things which have already been mentioned here today, but our focus as a board over the next month or so and on into the future is going to be on that strategic plan completion. We have had, as you've heard, member focus groups. If you can see behind us, you see the results of something that happened in the last member focus group. And there'll be further work, further input from our other stakeholders, including the membership, as we continue down the path of completing that plan. Mark Laster had mentioned the Landings Community Leadership Council, which I guess we have another bunch of letters to use, LCLC, and that is our group. Hopefully everyone's read was it in the form of a charter that we adopted? And it includes representatives from Telco, from TLA, and from the club, and our next meeting, I believe, we're looking at February.
February 20th.
So, yeah, it's I think it'll be a fun endeavor. And And if there's nothing else, I think we are ready to adjourn to executive session.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.